5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you the winners match in the OSL Ro24 Group C. We have Jangbi versus Shuttle. Jangbi as the yellow Protoss at the 1 o'clock position and Shuttle as the white Protoss at the 11 o'clock position on the map Gladiator. There we see Jangbi, Sansan Khan team member, of course, and here we have Shuttle, the STX. So, remember, although this is, of course, OSL and not Pro League, so not particularly relevant, Jangbi acquitted himself fairly well in his matchup thus far, but against Zerg players he seems okay. But I have not seen his PvP performance in recent times, and really his downfall was twice at the hand of Bisu in finals, in fact. So, you know, PvP perhaps a bit of his weakness here. We'll see how he does today against Shuttle, not a particularly good player. Jangbi even wants to think about making a comeback. He's got to be able to beat Shuttle here, because if he can't take out Shuttle, you know, Jangbi is still in his slump. Looks like both players just putting down their pylons here. As for Shuttle, well, beating Jangbi wouldn't be particularly impressive. It would depend on how Jangbi plays. If he plays, you know, terribly, then you know, this is just be another sort of standard win here for Shuttle. But if Jangbi actually plays fairly well, this could be a chance for Shuttle to make a bit more of a name for himself, although on the other hand Shuttle's been around for a while, so at this point I don't think he's ever going to be able to make a big name for himself or anything like that. He may yet show considerable improvement. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for a player to be the best. Here we see Jangbi going in the right direction. He's going to find Shuttle immediately, and Shuttle will surely know where Jangbi is. And apparently Shuttle is now brown. I just noticed that he is no longer white. Regardless, Jangbi is still the yellow Protoss. Sometimes it could just be enough for a player to increase their performance significantly. A good example is Hyuk. The infamous Hyuk went from one of the worst players of all times, at least in the televised matches I should say, one of the worst pro gamers of all times, to making it into the OSL round of the OSL round of 16. And I think he actually made it into the round of 8 once. I mean, that is most improved player. That's like a award that he deserves to win. And I think even accomplishing something like that for Shuttle would be impressive, because I'm pretty sure he's never actually made it to the round of 16 of the OSL, or if he has, it must have just been once. He was knocked out pretty quickly. Although I could be wrong about this. It's just I can't remember any of his accomplishments at all. He's not notable for anything. And he may yet be able to make some sort of a bit of a name for himself, which would be nice. Now, for some players, getting to the OSL round of 8 is a very significant achievement. For Shuttle here, who wouldn't be too bad. I mean, because, you know, I just don't think some of these players have the potential to be true champions. And you can't expect them to deliver that sort of performance. Perhaps once in a while they may play an astonishing game that's really the best you can hope for. And for them to give somewhat of a challenge to the true champions, to the likes of your Jadongs or your Flashes, so they don't roll over 3-0 in a best of 5, for instance. You know, we want to see some more exciting matches. Anyway, it looks like Jangbi is trying to put on a bit of early pressure here with his Dragoons. I've been rambling on for a bit. Jangbi only having 2 probes mine gas. This means he wants to put down some more gateways, I believe, to put on some more pressure with Dragoons. So this Jangbi probe is still alive, but one more Dragoon hit will kill it. I'm not sure whether Jangbi will be able to withdraw it. Looks like he is actually managing to escape the base with his probe. He's also withdrawn his early forces that he sent to sort of scout out Shuttle's base, and Jangbi still with 2 probes mining gas. So I think what Jangbi is going to try to do is mass up some Dragoons and take the natural position. So on this map Gladiator, the main is on the low ground, and the natural is of course on the high ground. If Jangbi can get position over that cliff at the natural, he could basically box Shuttle in, and Shuttle will not be able to break out Certainly with Dragoons, Jangbi could easily hold the ramp, no problem. Perhaps if Shuttle got Reavers, maybe he might be able to break out, but I still think it would be very difficult. And now we see Jangbi with 3 probes mining gas, so now he's going to build his Dragoons. He's got 3 gateways, by the way, whereas Shuttle has 2 gateways and a Robo-Bait, critically. If Shuttle... Basically, Shuttle's only hope is either he exhibits amazing Dragoon micro and somehow fends Jangbi off from taking his taking the ramp over the natural, or if Shuttle can get... Oh, he is going Reavers first. It looks like I'm pretty sure he went Reavers first. So this might actually be his saving grace here of Shuttle. If he can get a Reaver or 2, he may be able to break out. Maybe. I still think it would be extraordinarily difficult. Jangbi just now getting his Robo-Bay. No way Jangbi's going to get Reavers out in any sort of reasonable time frame to counter Shuttle here. Because, you know, Shuttle obviously at his base, so he's going to be able to put the Reavers into play immediately. Jangbi now pushing up with his Dragoons. Let's see, Jangbi trying to micro his Dragoons, doing a fairly good job. Shuttle focus firing on some of Jangbi's Dragoon, killing one, but Jangbi attacking Shuttle. Massive battle here. It looks fairly even, but Jangbi might be coming out ahead. No, he's got 4 Dragoons to 3, but critically Jangbi still has a single Zealot, and that Zealot, hero Zealot, I have to say, pushing back Shuttle's forces, and Jangbi now with just a bare minimum edge in terms of Dragoons, but Shuttle has a Reaver out. If Jangbi can snipe that Reaver, this would be GG, but it does not look like Jangbi is going to take that risk. He is just going to park his forces comfortably over the cliff. He's got reinforcement Dragoons there. It looks like 6 Dragoons and a Zealot. He's going to be able to defend this cliff no problem. I think Shuttle is going to struggle to push out from his main. In fact, as long as Jangbi keeps the forces in position, I guess Jangbi's trying to scout around to see whether that Shuttle might go for some sort of counterattack. But no, Shuttle's just going to use his Shuttle to defend the ramp. I think Jangbi would still be wise to move his Dragoons into position to defend that ramp there. As long as he can hold out here, he would be in fairly good position. Perhaps he can even try to snipe that Shuttle. I mean, losing a few Dragoons to kill that Shuttle with the 2 Reavers. There are 2 Reavers out here for Shuttle, however. 2 Reavers, very potent, and Jangbi is not going to have any Reavers in time to counter. So actually, Jangbi might be forced to back up here. He does not quite have enough Dragoons, possibly. It depends on whether he can kill that Shuttle with the Reavers. If he can do that, he'll be in a fine position. Jangbi, I guess, trying to send forward some units to probe. Defensive Shuttle does have an observer out to spot for him, which is going to help considerably, actually. It looks like Shuttle pushing out, but Jangbi giving up without a fight, forced to pull back. He's going to lose a Dragoon here in retreat. Not sure where that was wisest move. I guess it was. Their forces were fairly balanced, and if Jangbi forced the battle, he very well may have lost, considering Shuttle has 2 Reavers, and now Shuttle pushing out. He's got the Reaver advantage. That's Jangbi now bringing out his own Shuttle. Jangbi moving his Dragoons in, sniping the Shuttle. Reaver shot on 2 of the Reaver. Second Reaver shot. Gonna pick off 1 of the Reavers. There's still 1 more Reaver alive for Shuttle. Another Reaver goes down. Shuttle has no more Reavers. Jangbi critically still have a Shuttle and a Reaver alive. Jangbi, I think, is gonna take this battle. Shuttle has managed to spread his Dragoons out, but it's not gonna be enough. Jangbi takes the battle, decisive fashion, despite being at a Reaver disadvantage. But perhaps this was not a decisive fashion. It looks like Jangbi actually lost a lot more than I thought he did. He's only got 4 Dragoons left. Will this turn out to be a Pyrrhic victory? After all, he did lose a lot of units, more than I thought he did. But Jangbi does seem to still have enough forces to push up here and try to retake the natural. Gonna kill this scouting probe here. I guess that probe might have actually been trying to put down an expansion. So Jangbi putting down his own expansion. If Jangbi can hold out here for a few minutes and wait for his expansion to kick in, this will be GG. Shuttle needs to break out again. And Shuttle losing his own Shuttle and 2 Reavers, not the best of micros, I have to admit. Jangbi with decisive action there. He sent in those 5 Dragoons just to kill the Shuttle. Very bold move. Even though those Dragoons were pretty clumped up and easy bait for the Reavers, he was willing to sacrifice those Dragoons for this purpose. It was well worth it. It looks like Shuttle bringing out his own Reaver. There's no Shuttle there, getting a free hit on these Dragoons. I don't know where Jangbi Shuttle is. I guess it went back to base to pick up another Reaver, it looks like. So once Jangbi gets both his Reavers there, and as long as he can hold this position, he'll be fine. Now Jangbi has the Reaver advantage, although he is at a disadvantage in terms of Dragoons. It looks like Jangbi needs to be careful. They got one hit off. One hit got... Shuttle hit one of Jangbi's Reavers with one Scarab hit, so one of those Reavers is fairly weak, and Jangbi killing that Observer. That actually might be quite critical there. Jangbi sending a probe out, I guess, just to spot and make sure there's no hidden expansion or anything crazy like that going on. Perhaps he might even use that probe to make sure Shuttle doesn't try to sneak around or anything like that. I think that is a wise move. Jangbi playing fairly well, I have to say. This is looking quite promising if he can 2-0 his way out of this group and get into the OSL round of 16. Certainly, that would be a mini comeback, although I would hardly say perhaps we can declare his slump over if he wins this game, although he would still be far from his champion, near champion status, I should say. He's never a champion. From his dominating performance way back in 2008, 2009. And Jangbi, yes, with his Observers, sees the sneaking, this attempt to sneak out of his base by Shuttle. So very nice use of the Observer here by Jangbi. That Shuttle has speed though, so Shuttle has speed. That's going to be very helpful. Shuttle putting down I think hidden expansion. I guess he didn't see the little glitch, graphical glitch of the Observer. So Jangbi's going to see this and move some forces into position to kill it. And once again, I believe Jangbi sniping an Observer by Shuttle. And Jangbi very nicely with these Dragoons shutting down this attempt at expansion. Well done, I have to say. Shuttle is nearly mined out. He's got to break out now. And he's moved all his forces into position. It looks like he's got a lot of Dragoons, some Zealots even. So if he can somehow break out and counterattack and defeat Jangbi, and destroy his natural, which is up and mining now. And Jangbi has been sniping those Observers all game. Very nice move. Without those Observers, actually, Shuttle is in some trouble because he can't even really see up that ramp. I mean, he has the Shuttle to spot for him, I guess, but you know, using the Shuttle to spot is very risky, despite the fact that it has speed. A very risky maneuver, I have to say, and the longer this goes on, the more of an advantage Jangbi has. He just needs to buy time, and Shuttle is not making a breakout here. He needs to break out, but I think at this point Jangbi has like a 80% chance of winning, barring epic fail on his part in terms of his defense on this cliff here. Jangbi should win fairly comfortably. I believe that was a Dragoon of Shuttles that wandered up the ramp and got killed. Jangbi with a second force of Dragoons out. Yeah, his economic advantage is really telling now. He's got that second force of Dragoons just to make sure that Shuttle does not try to sneak out. He's got Observer positioned perfectly. This is brilliant play, I have to say, by Jangbi. I mean, perhaps a more strategic player might be able to try something cleverer. Rather, if a more strategic player were playing for Shuttle, he might try something clever, but I guess he can. He's trying to break through in the front now when Jangbi's forces are separated. This is actually a pretty good move. If he can defeat the armies in detail, he'd be fine. But Jangbi bringing his secondary force up. Massive battle between the Reavers and the Dragoons here. It's difficult to tell who will win, but Jangbi has so many units. Shuttle's Reavers are all clumped up. One Reaver goes down. He still has two more. He has so few units left. Second Reaver goes down. Jangbi microing his Reavers. Shuttle GG's. Good performance by Jangbi, I have to say. I think this might be the end of his slump. In fact, we'll have to see how his performance in the round of 16 is of the OSL. As long as he does fairly well there, I think it would be absolutely safe to say his slump is over. But for now, I may be able to tentatively declare that fact. Very nice game. Going on to the loser set.